Jagex is making some pretty big moves, big dog, and it's pushing Thieving up to 120. The last skill that went up to 120 was the release of Necromancy. Throughout the year, we've seen a lot of skills go up to 110, like for example, woodcutting and crafting, and those updates were kind of subpar. It was kind of split the community in half. Some people really liked that the skills were easy and AFK. Others felt it was kind of a rinse and repeat of the other ones. Jagex is making a huge change in a different idea for this one by pushing Thieving up to 120 with a content first approach. What this means is that they're putting integrity and everything into the forefront. That has been like the huge pitch over the last few days on what Jagex wants to make the game going into 2026. And the reason why this update is a really big deal and why it's a little bit more important than the last few updates for the skilling is because it is setting the tone for how 2026 and content being introduced into the game is going to be feeling. It's essentially going to be the very first step in the new era of RuneScape. And I really hope this one sets the tone right. We want to see meaningful updates, meaningful XP rates, meaningful rewards, and also I want to see the mid and low levels get treated with some love. It has been a very rough time through skilling for this game because Treasure Hunter and microtransactions have made it pretty much like second thought to who gives a hell about what the beginning of the game looks like. And they specifically added a few things into this update to make sure the mid and low level skilling is varied, rewarding, and most importantly, fun. Let's get right into it. And also, I'm going to show you how I have prepared for the update of 120 Thieving, which launches this Monday. First, let's talk about the most important part here, and those are the heists. Heists are going to be introduced as a solo together or active piece of content. Heists are brand new, repeatable solo together active pieces of content. By solo together, we mean that your progress is entirely individual. However, you'll be able to observe others progressing through the heist, learning from their successes and failure. Think in the spirit of Big Game Hunter, but reimagined for Thieving. This is huge because Big Game Hunter is one of the best skilling updates into the game. It is very rewarding, it's fun, it's engaging, it has very, very good long-lasting buffs in the form of totems that are game-wide and account-changing updates. They're very, very solid and very strong, and it's also a great way to train Hunter with a way to make some extra money. That idea in itself, and a lot of people have always wanted Big Game Hunter to kind of be revived and pushed into the other skills, and I think this is a great step in that direction, and I'm glad that they brought that up because everybody loves Big Game Hunter. It is a hunting activity, and I've always wanted more ways and really the build philosophy of mini games and activities in terms of skilling to be kind of modeled how Big Game Hunter does its gameplay loop. Each heist is built around the idea of sneaking into a high security location and making it out with precious loot. To achieve this, you need to infiltrate the facility, sneak around the guards and traps, thieving skills like pickpocketing, looting chests, and safe cracking to make progress, reach the final vault and secure a prize, earning XP and loot proportions to your efforts. I think, one, it's going to be really, really fun to see a bunch of people doing an activity together because there's a lot of problems when it comes to RuneScape 3 because there's a ton of things where you're kind of just, you aren't together, but then you're instantly separated because of instances. I love seeing people do activities together. That's why I love doing Wilderness Flash events. I love seeing people gathering. I like doing skilling events. I enjoy being in clans. I enjoy just being able to see players around because that is the beauty of MMOs, and I'm glad that we're going to be able to see other players while we're doing these things by ourselves, because solo together content is probably going to be something that's going to be pushed a little bit more because there's a lot of people that have to work on their own timeline as opposed to having to schedule doing an event or an activity with a different group of people. That is kind of like the approach that I think Jagex wants to go to because they understand that their player base are adults now and we have very limited time, and it can be very difficult to get a group of adult men to do an activity together and, you know, not make it sticky. So I'm glad that it's going to be something that's going to be solo and be able to do it together because I'm excited to see, like, you could probably like race your buddies if you want to do something like that. See how fast you can do a completion. Currently, they're slated to be adding 2 vaults at the moment from levels 95 to 105, and then from 108 to 118. You have the Vault of Horides, and you also have the Osirian Arsenal. Both of these look pretty cool. You have a little sneak peek of it right here with the little ghost guy, and you can see like the Zerosian emblem in the back. Looks pretty good. I'm excited for it. As well with the Dragonkin honestly, it looks great. Look at that. You can kind of see like the cannons triggering, probably the traps that you have to navigate. I'd imagine you have to do some agility and sneak through these things, or honestly, it's just an area, or this little tablet here is like a code you got to break through. You can see the safe cracking spot right here in the snapshot as well. So there's a few things here. I would also be, myself personally, I would have loved if this was incorporated with agility training, because honestly, heist, navigating through like tripwire and all kinds of traps is very agility coded. You literally do it in dungeoneering and in other agility courses, so it kind of would make sense, but I think that's probably a little bit too ambitious for something right now. I'd rather for them to get the meat and potatoes nice and right before adding in all the mix-ins. Now this is where they're going for their new philosophy. Heist, a new fantasy for thieving. Up to now, thieving has been mostly XP focused, cakes, farmers, dwarves, elves. You know the drill. Cycle through those NPCs, loot them, go away, no real consequences, nothing for it. But the goals for this project are very different. Deliver the fantasy of being a master thief, create high stakes, high reward gameplay that feels exciting to repeat, and move away from purely AFK loops. The purely AFK loops is a big portion right there, because there are a ton of people that only do activities based on the AFK loop that they can provide themselves while they are doing things. Think anything from 110. How can I AFK crafting? How can I AFK fletching? How can I AFK woodcutting? How can I AFK mining? Better, faster, efficiently, longer AFK timer. I think thieving is a really good skill to introduce that active gameplay loop and something to break up the monotony that comes from AFK loop. I like a good AFK grind. You like a good AFK grind. But sometimes I actually want to play the game. I think this thieving portion is going to be a great way for that to happen. But honestly, none of this matters if the loot is terrible. I'm excited that they're going to be pushing towards a better payoff, because a lot of things that skilling has where it struggles is that the rewards you may get end up not being as great as you want them to be, and they don't pay as well as you want them to. Very exciting to see this freaking dagger, dude. We haven't gotten a dagger in years, and this is either a dagger or a scimitar. I'm kind of banking that it's a dagger. However, every heist needs a good payoff. With this update, you'll see a fresh money-making method for thieving, something the skill has really needed. Literally, stealing things from other people does not reward you any money, and that is insane that becoming a master thief, you're still poor. So I'm glad that they're kind of addressing that little roleplay portion of that, and it doesn't really make thematic sense. Brand new rewards like you'd expect from Big Game Hunter or Skilling Boss. What does that mean? Big Game Hunter has one big chase item, which is currently around 22 mil. It is the Dragon Pickaxe, and that is like almost one of the Dragon Matic. I apologize for archaeology. It is, I think that is the only way to get a Dragon Matic in the game. It's the only one that I've heard of. So I'm assuming something that you get from the thieving heist and the higher level heist are what are going to provide you the way to get this probably brand new dagger that looks amazing. I'm excited for what this looks like. I'm kind of expecting this to be like a mid-level item, but I'm hoping that it has some very cool niche uses to it. I would also kind of hope this isn't the only reward, because this news post came out. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. I'm excited to see some more information on this. I think it's going to be a really cool one, and I know that when this comes out on release, it's going to be expensive. Now, why would they be pushing this skill up to 120? Expanding the current plan for this update is to launch it with a level cap of 120 instead of 110. Internally, we've been discussing it, and here's what we've landed. Thieving isn't like fletching, crafting, or smithing, where you need to create new tiers of gear every time the level cap goes up. A 120 gives us room to grow, adding more heists and additional content over time. Community feedback has made clear, when we raise caps, it should be content driven, and that's the approach we're taking here. I did not mind levels going to 110, because they butchered when 120 Slayer came out and it was only in one dungeon. I love Slayer because you went to multiple places. I loved it because you got to explore and kill things in different places. When you ended up doing Slayer in one dungeon, kind of defeats the whole purpose of training your skilled in 99 to sit in one room. For thieving, it makes sense to thieve from people around the world, because they gotta go and get things. They gotta be rare things. People want rare things, and that's probably what the ideal is here, so that they can have breathing room over the years to add these items in, because honestly, it took a long time for 120 Slayer to be a very refined skill, and I'm glad that they're taking the time and learning those lessons of not trapping players in the same gameplay loop, especially in skills that promote exploration. Additionally, I'm very happy to see that there's going to be 30 new pickpocketable NPCs, such as the Fire Lords, Archaeology Professors, Wizard Tower Mages, Fairy Traders, and Gobies. I'm excited for the Gobies one, because that's going to be a great way for Iron Man to get techie, as well as pickpocketing, maybe even ability codexes, which would be really good for them, but I don't know if they're going to be that ambitious about that. And in addition to that, we're going to be getting 15 new thievable chests with a reworked chest system that provides a new low-level to mid-intensity training option and provides a variety of ways to train in your day-to-day, which is very, very good. In preparation of my thieving escapades, I have created my beautiful little loadout that I'm going to happily share with you guys now, starting with our inventory top left to the bottom. I have a power burst of acceleration. This way I can cut my surge dive and bladed dive down to 1.2 seconds, and it's going to be flying around 1.2 seconds. 2 game ticks to be flying around the map is going to be fantastic. Who knows if that's going to be needed as we tripwire our way through all the beautiful booby traps. I also have some food, a cerebrew, and a blue blubberfish. You can probably swap the blue blubberfish out for a beautiful little sailfish. That way you get more healing, and we don't know if you're going to need adrenaline in there, but I have the blue blubber just in case. I have a super restore flask in case any kind of booby traps drop your skilling level. Most of Jagex's skilling punishments are typically a reduction in your stats, and I believe that I would imagine that the thieving checks are going to require a thieving level, and the higher level you have are more likely to succeed in them. So having a super restore in case you get any damage is going to be fantastic to keep those thieving levels as high as possible. We have a brooch of gods and a scripture of Vic, along with a scripture of validness inside of the pocket slot for any of those book procs or scavenging procs that come from either respective one. These are optional. It is just kind of a way to keep getting any type of It is kind of just a way to make sure that you can stack up on any bonus XP from the Scripture of Validness, get any more clue scrolls from the Scripture of Bic, and also from the Brooch of the Gods, you can get any more scavenging procs. Fantastic for Iron Man. The only familiar in the game that boosts thieving is going to be the Abyssal Lurker with a requirement of 62 summoning. This bad boy gives you a +4 thieving level bonus when you use the Abyssal Scroll with it, so you have to make sure that you have scrolls added to either your familiar or in your inventory to get that +4 thieving boost, as well as you want to get the archaeology. You don't need a master cape, you just need to have these sticky fingers. And additionally, you want to make sure you have sticky fingers available to you. That's going to be very, very handy as you go through the wonderful little pickpocketing that goes from the 30 NPCs that are being added, and also inside of the heist, because pickpocketing is going to be ideal. It is now automatic if you're new here. Automatic pickpocketing, so the way that they increase it is that sticky fingers allows you to pickpocket faster at a faster rate, and that is a great way to get a higher tick rate or success rate for whatever may be inside of the vaults. For the outfit, moving over now, we have the Master Camouflage outfit, which provides a 7% chance to double pickpocket, 7% chance to avoid a stun when pickpocketing, increased chance of Saren simple piece drops, which doesn't matter, pyramid punter boost, which doesn't matter, but teleports to thieving locations may be handy depending on where the updates NPCs and how those updates may be. You do not need the Master Camouflage outfit. If you can get any of a full camouflage outfit, that is your best bet. That's going to be super helpful here, and it's going to be helpful in any of your thieving escapades later on when you're just training the skill in general. We have a Thieving Master Cape, which just notes all the items provided. This may come in handy depending if the items that you're trying to pickpocket from the people inside, I'm assuming guards or whatever, they may drop items, but I don't really expect them to be like valuable items you take out. I expect the most of the loot that you get from the vaults to be coming from the actual like giant chest or safe that you break into. I wouldn't necessarily think that the noted pickpocket items would matter all that much, but just in case, we got it in the preset. In addition, we have the Feather Fingered Necklace, which provides a chance of not taking any damage or being stunned. When caught, they have 10 charges, so I bought 100 of these to make sure that I have them all stocked up on those day of release of Heist. Additionally, we have a Grasping Rune pouch here for the Crystal Mass spell. The Crystal Mass spell allows you to block or negate any type of ability or attack that comes towards your way. It is a very handy spell that you get from the Saren questline. Again, though, I don't think this is going to be necessary, like essential, but it is going to be an added buff that helps along with getting through there. We have a mushroomy pickpocketing bag, which was released recently as a main hand. We have the best in slot perks of Oblivious and Prosper alongside Enhanced Efficient. This gives a +5 chance to increase auto pickpocketing speed by 1 game tick or 0.6 seconds. Additionally, we have a offhand with Mobile. That is the more important one than Wise. Wise will provide you more experience per hour. However, Mobile is the most important one, which cuts the cooldown of Dive, Surge, and Escape. all by 50%, which is very helpful. And I'm assuming you're going to end up needing this inside of the vaults as well as you navigate through those traps. And then we have finally a Luck of the Dwarves for that big final loot in hopes of getting a Hazelmel Signet Ring. Probably won't happen, but you always never know. And that is my full loadout for the 120 Thieving update. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something new today. Be sure to check me live when I stream it on Monday with the brand new release of the Heist and the Vaults. We're going to be checking out all the NPCs. We're going to check out the brand new Heist. And be sure to subscribe for the next video and upload. Hopefully, we're going to be working on a brand new AFK Ripper guide. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Catch you next one. Leave me a comment if you're excited. I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be a good update. If it's a bad update, then it's just bad marketing. Yeah, it'd be really bad marketing. Why are you still here? Go click this video.